The Miami Heat have lost 3 straight games. They now are 20-19 on the year. Nothing is clicking. Do the Heat need to blow up the roster? Trade away some key pieces, whether it's Herro, Wiggins, Powell, Bam. Type Y for yes or N for no. We're going to talk about it on today's show. And as I will explain, I absolutely think Miami needs to change the roster. Whether it is trading for someone, whether it is just straight up trading people away, there is just enough evidence to me that, yes, this team will have stretches during the year that they are very fun, put up 130 points, and are entertaining. But this team has absolutely no chance to compete in the Eastern Conference, let alone the NBA Finals. And Miami needs to change something. And let's talk about it on today's show. I've simply seen enough. The current iteration of the Heat, led by Tyler Herro, led by Bam Adebayo, will not win anything seriously. No trade target will fix that. Sure, you can make the argument that if they were able to land Giannis, they would be a top 4 team in the East. I would probably agree with you. But when I'm talking about the current iteration of the Miami Heat, I'm talking about the Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo-led Miami Heat. Because they were tagged as the next 2 leaders of this franchise. When you made the decision to not extend Jimmy Butler, which was the right decision, by the way, because he is not playing towards a $60 million price value right now at his age. It was the right decision not to pay him. But you made that decision with the idea that Herro and Bam would lead the next era of Heat basketball alongside hopefully a 3rd star. But I don't think Herro and Bam are even capable of being the 2nd or 3rd best player on a championship level team. I have been one of the biggest Bam supporters there is, but the evidence is stacking up to a degree to where we can't really defend it anymore. The last 14 games for Bam Adebayo have been quite literally the worst basketball of his career. He played poor offensively early on in the season last year, which caused Miami to get off to a rough start. It was never this bad. Let's not say sub. 40% shooting from the field for a big man is not okay. Under 20% from 3 is horrible. Bam Adebayo is struggling to get to double figures on a nightly basis. And if we're going to be honest, I think there is some physical limitations to him. He's clearly dealing with a back injury because he is not moving on the court like he usually does in terms of his athleticism and his ability to be an athlete at the rim. But there is no excuse for it. Because if you are going to say you're healthy enough to suit up and play, I'm going to need better basketball from you. I think his confidence is also shot as well. You just watch him within 10, 12 feet from the basket. It's almost like he second guesses everything he is doing offensively. And with Bam making this type of money, and I know a lot of people say, oh, he's making a max contract right now. That is incorrect. He's only making $37 million this year. The max contract extension he signed kicks in next season, where he's got $50 million, 53.7, and then 57.7 as a player option in 2028. The max contract sets in next year. So, yeah, you can say he's overpaid, but he's not a max guy until next year. You can't get the value in the production offensively that he's been giving you. Even as someone who truly does realize how good he is defensively and how important he is to the Heat's defense, the production offensively is just not okay with that type of price tag. And sure, you can create a conversation on if Miami should trade Bam. Listen, that's why we're talking about it on today's show. I think for the right package, I would think about it. It would have to be a real enticing package that makes sense to me. But I'm just going to come up and tell you right now, Miami isn't going to do it. You could want Bam to get traded all you want. You could hate on him for the offensive production that we've been talking about here. But I'm telling you right now, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, they won't trade him. They just simply won't do it. And there are 3 players that I think Miami will much more likely deal away or at least contemplate trading them. That would be Tyler Herro, Andrew Wiggins, and Norman Powell. And if you are not trading Bam, I think 2 of these 3 absolutely have to be dealt prior to the February 5th NBA trade deadline. And I think Tyler Herro is just unfortunately losing me. I've been a Tyler Herro supporter. I think most people would know that if you've watched the channel for the last 2.5 years that we've had this puppy up and running. But the inability to stay on the floor this year, and then when we've seen him on the floor, how bad it has been, it's losing me. It really has. And I think you can just see that everything Herro brings to the table can be easily replaced. I mean, I'm not going to say easy, but Norman Powell this year is doing exactly what Tyler Herro did for Miami last season. So you would hope that when Herro comes back, you're able to see the Heat offense be elevated with Norman Powell and Tyler Herro together, but it has been the opposite. With Herro on the court, they are as bad as an offensive team as you have seen in the NBA this season. An offensive rating of 106.3, and with him off the court, it's at 114.3. So maybe, just maybe, you can say it's a lack of continuity. Tyler Herro has only played in 9-10 games this season. The Heat just haven't had a lot of reps with him on the floor, so you don't really understand what is happening. But when it is so bad visually, and the eye test tells you, my goodness, the Heat have just simply fallen off of a cliff offensively with him on the floor, that's where the eyebrows start to raise. I mean, he returns to the court on Tuesday against Minnesota, and in back-to-back games on Saturday and Tuesday, the Heat score under 100 points. They get embarrassed by the worst team in the conference, the Indiana Pacers, on Saturday night. It just is very concerning. It is. There's no way you can debate it. So, yeah, I know these are young guys, both under the age of 30, and Herro and Bam Adebayo, homegrown lottery pick guys, but there just is a way that you see and watch and are like, yeah, listen, we wanted to work out with these guys since they were homegrown. They were drafted here. They were developed here. They both made All-Stars here. It's very, very clear that these 2 are not capable of leading as a top 2 guy at this point, a team to a title. And that's why you should think about trading them. Subscribe for more Heat rumors. The trade deadline is approaching in about 3.5 weeks. We'll be here every step of the way, so subscribe today. And when Herro's calling card is how impactful he is offensively, but the Heat offense has gone downhill since he came back, that's where it becomes even more concerning. Because we know how bad he is defensively. I mean, you look at the NBA defensive blown by percentage, no one gets blown by more than Tyler Herro outside of James Harden and Trae Young. You see it, total drives per game. 1.3 for Herro, that's 3rd highest in the NBA. Tied with Dorian Finney-Smith, Jordan Poole, and surprisingly Drew Holiday. But you look at the other people on this list here, and you just say, yeah, these are horrible defenders. And Coop is smiling because he's going to act as I'm not seeing Luka Doncic there. Yeah, Luka does not defend on the perimeter. Neither does Tyler Herro. But look at the points per possession on this list. It's 2nd highest at 1.125 for Tyler Herro. When getting blown by, only player worse is Trae Young. Like, am I being pessimistic? Maybe. But that's kind of where I am right now with the Miami Heat and this current build in Tyler Herro. I just do not see a world where Herro is the top 2 player on a team that is winning the NBA championship. Could you argue that he could be the 3rd best option if you have a very well-organized defensive structure, a 2-way guy that I'm talking like a wing. as bad as this is going to be for me to say out loud and admit, like if you have a Jason Tatum type of wing who's your number one option but can get it done on both ends, mixed with a big man that can get it done on both ends, and then Herro is your scoring punch guard, okay, maybe he can be your third best player on a title team and be a massive contributor, but that takes a very specific way to build a team, and Miami is nowhere close to that, which is why I think you should absolutely be gauging the trade market for Tyler Herro, especially with him extension eligible this offseason and only 1 year left on his current contract, which doesn't look like you are going to be willing to extend him at a high number. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The sports action continues with playoffs tonight in football, elite basketball every single night. And as you try a new routine in the new year, the action is awesome on Prize Picks, and they let you take control. How you want to play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. I've got an entry for the football game tonight with no Heat basketball. Thank goodness, by the way. Less than CJ Stroud passing yards, more than Kenny Gainwell receptions, and more than Pat Freiermuth receiving yards. Stroud in the cold, no thank you. And we know Rodgers is going to be checking it down to the running back and tight end with that pass rush beaming him on them early in this game. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. I do not think Miami should stop there when considering Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro being dealt. I think you absolutely have to consider Andrew Wiggins and Norman Powell. And I'll make this statement right here. If you are keeping Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, there is no way that both Wiggins and Powell should be employed past the February 5th deadline in 2026. I would be as far as to say, I think it would be front office malpractice, which wouldn't surprise me based on how bad this front office actually is in terms of their lack of forward thinking and getting ahead of a potential disaster. But you have to have Powell, Wiggins, Bam, and Herro. Out of those four, two of them have to be traded. They just have to. Now, obviously, you would think that Wiggins and Powell would be the most likely candidates, considering they both don't have contracts guaranteed past the 2026-2027 season. Powell is a pending free agent. Wiggins has a player option next year. And they are both playing really solid individual basketball this year. Individual basketball. That is why I am saying this. I am not telling you that the Heat should trade them because they have not been good this season. They both have had big-time moments and big-time stretches of high-level basketball. I mean, Wiggins just made 7 threes against Oklahoma City and is shooting 41% from beyond the arc this season. If I told you he was doing that before the year, you would have called me crazy. They both have been fine. But Miami, simply put, is not going to win with them, and especially with the conflicting and stagnant skill sets that Norman Powell and Tyler Herro possess. One of the two has to be traded because they can't play together. They can't start together. And with Powell being 32, being a free agent this upcoming year, he becomes the more logical trade candidate. Same thing with Andrew Wiggins and Bam Adebayo. Wiggins in his 30s, only 1 year left on his contract, becomes the logical trade candidate. So that's why I think Miami should trade both of them, or at least one of them, and one of Bam and Tyler Herro. And there was a trade idea thrown out there by The Athletic involving Andrew Wiggins going to the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that has reportedly had a lot of interest in Andrew Wiggins over the last 6 to 8 months, going back to the NBA draft in June. Well, The Athletic said the Heat maybe could receive Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, 2 expiring contracts worth combined about $29 million. Dalton Connect a former first-round pick in 2024 who has just been extremely disappointing, and a 2032 first-round pick for Wiggins. I think you do this today. Like, there is absolutely no hesitation from my end in terms of trading Andrew Wiggins for that package. I'll say this. As long as you aren't taking in ridiculous money in return for Andrew Wiggins, if you can get any type of first round pick in return for Wiggins, you absolutely should be doing that. The best way to get out of the mediocrity, the play in cycle of Heat basketball over the last 3 to 4 years, and it's going to be this year again if you don't make any move, is to trade your veterans for first round picks. To me, you are wasting them by keeping them because all you're going to do is keep yourself around 500 basketball, 40, 39, 41 wins, and first round playoff exits at best. And guess what? That does absolutely nothing for the future of your team. Commit to the youth, commit to the future by trading away your veterans. So let me ask you this before we close out the show. Who is the most likely player to be traded out of these three? Is it Tyler Herro, Andrew Wiggins, or Norman Powell? Let me know your thoughts. And I want to close by saying this. The Heat came into this year thinking that they were going to be able to start Tyler Herro, Norman Powell, Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and Bam together. It did not get off to a start because of injuries, but I have seen enough. This is one of the worst lineups Miami has thrown out there all year long. They are a negative 1.6 rating. They are just mid. And you saw how poorly they played on Saturday to start the game against the Pacers. They got down so early. They got 20-pieced by the Pacers in the first quarter. It is just not complementary basketball. Powell and Herro do not complement each other. It's clunky. It's wonky. It's just not good. I'm sorry. It's disappointing. I thought Miami was going to be a good, fun team this year after the first 2 to 4 weeks of the season. But this team can't stick together. They are not good. They cannot play. They cannot do it. And I'm sorry to be the pessimist. I'm sorry to be the one holding up the mirror. But no reason to beat around the bush anymore, folks. No reason. And we'll be here every step of the way. If the Heat make a trade, we'll be going live on the channel. So subscribe today.